Hello there, this is Top in Business, and today we are talking matters food security, matters environment, and matters climate change. With us is John DeLow. He's a visiting fellow at the Netherlands Institute of Ecology. He's also a renowned filmmaker with over 25 years experience. Thank you so much for talking to us, John.
Great to be here, thank you.
All right, John, so from a journalist to an environment junkie and a visiting fellow, tell us about your journey.
I think what happened to me was that journalism is about observation, and I became pretty good at that. And then I had covered the rise of China from poverty and isolation, the collapse of the Soviet Union, the Tiananmen tragedy, international terrorism, really big stories. And then I was asked by the World Bank to go and film a baseline study in the Loess Plateau. This is the upper and middle reaches of the Yellow River. And when I saw this degraded landscape, and I knew that this was the cradle of Chinese civilization, I realized that we're talking about a different time frame. We're talking about something which is actually more important than the transient political whims of the moment, the arrogance or the selfishness of individuals, and that affects generations of human beings. And that made me fascinated, and so I became an ecological researcher.
All right, so John, the world is fast sliding into climate change. We have deforestation happening, pollution is at its highest. People wonder, I mean, is there hope?
Well, there's nothing wrong with the Earth. The ecological systems are evolutionary in nature, and they're not really changing. What's different is human impact on the climate, human impact on the Earth. And this is a big problem. The hope is that human beings can realize that we have the potential to restore these degraded landscapes. And by doing so, we're sequestering carbon.
So you have been to both Ethiopia, Rwanda, and even Uganda. What would you say from your experience is the capacity of regenerative agriculture and landscape restoration to sort of feed this African population?
Well, you can see for instance, in Ethiopia, in the 80s, there was a huge famine. And at that time, the population was much smaller than it is now. So over this period, you had an international response, which was food aid, and that food aid sort of did address the immediate problem, but it didn't change the fundamentals. So then they shifted to sustainable land management. And by shifting to sustainable land management, they started to engage the people in revegetation, in restoration, and in regenerative agriculture. Does that work? Yes.
So let's talk about Kenya. Our forest cover is slightly above 5%. Our crops are failing. Our rivers are drying up. How can we turn this around?
Well, you just have to get your mind around what's valuable, what's important, what is wealth. If we think that wealth is coming from extraction, manufacturing, and buying and selling things, or more abstractly, speculation between cost price of commodities or interest-bearing debt, then we're really kind of just buying into a European model of development which hasn't done so well. It's created huge deserts, deforested large areas, and created a lot of poverty for people around the world. So is it possible to go in another way? Is it possible to honor the traditions and the legends and the strengths of Africa? Yes.
So John, one of the biggest problems facing this country and our environment at the moment is pollution, and mainly due to plastics. And the government has recently legislated, not legislated really, but passed a law that bans the use of plastic. So as someone who understands matters of soil, from where you sit, what do you think is the significance of this law regarding soil pollution and general pollution of the environment?
Well, I'm not sure that law is the way to change things, if the only thing stopping people is because they're going to be punished because they're breaking the law, then that means that they don't understand why they're doing something. So what you need is broad education so that people understand that they need to have a functional ecosystem.
Are you then saying that achieving a cleaner environment should not be something being driven by laws, but sort of a culture being inculcated in people?
Yeah, of course. It's nice if the laws reflect that, but law by itself is not, the law is there, is going to be broken unless people understand why it's there and what they're doing. So regardless of the law, and if you have the people with a deep sense of commitment to protect and their ecosystems, you don't need a law because they'll do it anyway.
How do you grow and cultivate this kind of interest among people, among institutions?
Go camping. Take everybody out of the, right now if you turn on the radio or the television or you drive through the streets, you're bombarded by advertising for products or for politicians, and it's all about manipulating the public. You need the public to sit down and think carefully, to have a profound societal conversation.
If there was a single behavior or act of human beings that you could magically change, what would that be?
Well, I think right now what we're talking about is all people need to go to camp. And when they go to camp, they can study how the Earth systems function. And they can take a break from massive materialism, take a break from destructing and polluting, and start engaging in protecting and restoring the ecological systems.